The first thing I saw was a man standing barefoot in the rain outside the Old Mariner's library with his eyes fixed on the ground as if the world beneath his feet was about to open and swallow him whole. I swear I knew his face, though the years had carved it into something almost unrecognizable. Tell us where you're watching from. We'd truly love to know, and if there was a moment in this story that touched your soul, please share it with us in the comments. It would mean the world to us to hear your heart. His hair was longer than I remembered, streaked with gray, and his coat was nothing more than a frayed wool blanket wrapped tight against the cold. People hurried past on the narrow street, shoulders hunched, collars up, not daring to meet his eyes. Maybe they thought he was just another drifter washed ashore by the storms. But I knew better. His name was Samuel Crow, and 5 years ago, he was the heart of our town. A teacher who gave more than he ever had to spare. He vanished one October night, leaving his classroom light on his coat hanging by the door and his desk drawer locked tight. The police searched for months. Some said he drowned. Others whispered he ran from something dark nobody ever knew. I was 16 when he disappeared, and he had been the only adult who believed in me. The sight of him now made my chest ache. I stepped closer, my boots splashing in the puddles, and called his name. He looked up slowly. His eyes were hollow, but there was something fierce still burning deep inside. I asked where he had been. He said, "Only trying to come home." But the road kept getting longer. Before I could speak again, the library door opened, and a tall man in a dark suit stepped out, glanced at Samuel, and froze. The man was Marcus Hale, our mayor and the very person who had declared Samuel presumed dead. Hale's jaw tightened, but he forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Samuel straightened his back, and without a word walked past him into the library as though he owned the place. The door shut, and the street seemed to hold its breath. I followed him inside, and the warmth of the library wrapped around me like an old blanket. The smell of paper and dust and sea salt filled the air. Samuel was moving with slow, deliberate steps past the rows of books, his fingertips grazing the shelves as though checking if they still remembered him. Marcus Hale came in behind me, his voice sharp. "Samuel, you have no right to be here." Samuel stopped at the far end, where a small wooden door led to the archives, a room locked for years. He turned the key without hesitation, and for a moment I wondered how he even had it. The hinges groaned as the door opened. Inside, the light flickered, revealing stacks of boxes tied with twine. Samuel picked one up, set it on the table, and slid it toward me. "These are the letters," he said. "Every child I taught wrote one about what they dreamed of becoming. I kept them all because I thought one day I might need to remind them of who they wanted to be." He looked at Marcus. "You took this room from me. Did away the truth." Marcus stepped forward, his tone icy. "You disappeared and left chaos, Samuel. You lost the right to speak for this town." Samuel's gaze hardened. "No, Marcus. I lost my home, but not my voice." The sound of rain against the windows grew louder, as if the storm outside was listening. He opened another box and pulled out a leather journal, worn at the edges. He set it before me. "This is the reason I left." My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside were pages of neat handwriting, dates, names, places. They were records, not of lessons, but of bribes, secret meetings, land deals, signed by Marcus Hale himself. Samuel said, "I found out the truth, and the night I was going to bring it forward, I was chased. I ran to survive every year, tried to come back, but someone always found me first." Marcus moved closer, his fists clenched. "You think anyone will believe a broken man who has been gone for 5 years? Samuel leaned in close to him. "People will believe the children's words." And then the lights went out, plunging us into darkness. I heard a door slam somewhere deep in the building and footsteps running fast. Samuel grabbed my arm. "Stay with me," he whispered. "If they know I am here tonight, they will not let me leave alive." In the pitch black, the only sound was the pounding of my heart and the whisper of rain on the roof. Samuel pulled me toward the back of the archive, feeling along the shelves, until his hand found a narrow door half hidden behind a stack of crates. He pushed it open, and we slipped into a cramped stairwell that smelled of salt and rust. The steps led down to the old storm cellar, a place I had not seen since childhood. Above us, heavy boots thudded across the library floor. Marcus's voice barked orders to search every corner. Samuel's grip was firm as he guided me into the shadows. He crouched and pulled something from under a tarp. An old tin box sealed with a brass latch inside were photographs, contracts, receipts, all evidence of the deals he had recorded. In his journal, my father's name was on one of them, and a cold wave ran through me. Samuel closed the box and looked at me with eyes that seemed older than the sea. I came back because this town is dying, not from storms or tides, but from the men who feed on it. I cannot stay, but you can. You have to decide whether the truth lives or dies tonight. Footsteps clattered down the stairs, a beam of light slicing through the darkness. Samuel shoved the box into my hands and stepped into the open, drawing the attention of the men charging in. He stood tall, his voice steady. You want me? Then take me. But she walks out, untouched. The men hesitated. Marcus pushed past them and smiled coldly. You will not walk out again. Samuel only nodded. I know. Two of the men grabbed him and dragged him up the stairs, his boots scraping against the stone. I wanted to scream, but Samuel's eyes caught mine one last time, and he mouthed go. I slipped through the cellar's side door into the wet night, clutching the tin box to my chest. The rain hid my tears. By the time I reached the safety of my home, the sun was rising and the gulls were crying. Over the harbor days later, news spread that Samuel Crow had died in a fall from the library roof. Marcus called it an accident. The funeral was small, just a few townsfolk and the sound of waves breaking on the rocks. I never told anyone what really happened, but I kept the box hidden until the day came when I was ready to use it. When I finally opened it again, years later, the first thing I saw was a single sheet of paper on top in Samuel's handwriting. It said simply, if you are reading this, then I am gone. Remember that I believed in you when no one else did, and that is worth more than anything they can take. That night, I walked to the harbor, and for the first time, I felt him there with me.